Today's topic, cholesterol, big topic. We're going to bring in some new research that just came out. Stay till the end. It's a free gift, $180 value. Okay, in 2015, the federal government removed the dietary cholesterol guidelines. Does anyone know that besides me? Because I talk to people all day like, oh, I need to lower my cholesterol or whatever. The government removed that in 2015. The reason being, their words, there is no appreciable relationship between consumption of dietary cholesterol and serum cholesterol, blood cholesterol. So let's unpack that and a whole bunch more. Cholesterol is made by every cell in the body and the liver. Cholesterol is used, it's important for cell signaling. Without cell signaling, you're dead. Cholesterol detoxifies the body. Cholesterol protects from dementia. Cholesterol protects and helps cognition. Okay, the brain is 2% of the body, but 25% of the cholesterol is found in the brain. The brain is 60 to 70% fat by dry weight. Also, cholesterol maintains bone density. It prevents osteoporosis. It protects from stroke. It protects from cancer, and cholesterol protects from cardiovascular disease. Okay. Cardiovascular disease was rare before 1910. It basically did not exist. That's how rare it was. So it's been the number one killer in the United States from 1920 to now. That's 105 years. In 2008, NBC Meet the Press Tim Russert, he was a newscaster, had a massive heart attack on the set and died. Okay? He was 58 years old, tragedy. His cholesterol was, I can't get exact numbers, it was somewhere between 105 and 135, and his LDL cholesterol was 68. Okay? Extremely low. 75% of heart attacks occur in low to normal cholesterol levels. Okay? Science Daily, 75% or more. So I reached out to my mentor, Dr. Serrano, early in his career in the early 1990s. He worked the ER. So I called him up and said, hey, tell me about cholesterol when you worked at the ER. How many people came in and had heart attacks with high cholesterol? He goes, maybe 20%. 80% had regular, normal, or low cholesterol. But he goes, I didn't ask this, and thank God he told me. 100% of the people who had heart attacks had high sugars. Okay? Hold on to that thought. Okay. My daughter was born 27 years ago. She's getting married on Friday. This is the jacket I'll be wearing at the ceremony. I'm testing it out. And I started looking into longevity records. So I realized early on that Hong Kong was the number one in longevity. It was number one for years before that, and it's still number one. Okay? Hong Kong is also the number one country in the world in meat consumption. Yes, they consume more meat, and that includes red meat, fish, seafood, chicken, pork, other sources than any other country in the world, and it's a massive amount. It's about 1.2 pounds per person per day. Okay? Then I looked to see who was number two in the world in longevity, and it was Japan. Again, Japan, it's been number two forever. Japan is number one in egg consumption in the world. Yes. Then I looked at New Zealand, and no, they're not number three in the world. They are 16th or 18th in the world in longevity, but they are the number one consumer of butter. They consume more butter per person than any other country in the world. They're 16th in longevity. They're 171st in heart disease, meaning there are 170 countries that have higher rates of heart disease than New Zealand. Okay? Then I looked at France and Switzerland. They have the highest saturated fat consumption in Europe, and they have the highest longevity. Switzerland is number 6 in the world in longevity. France is number 2. Then I looked at epilepsy. People with epilepsy for 100 years that don't want to use drugs or can't use drugs go on a ketogenic diet, a specific ketogenic, and people with Rett syndrome. I have a friend I went to high school and college with, Roger. He had his daughter was born with Rett. It's a genetic disease. It's a horrible disease. They die young. They die in their late teens or early 20s. And both of these groups of people have 80% of their diet or more of fat, 15% or less protein, and less than 5% carbohydrate. People with epilepsy live a long, normal life. They do not have any weight issues. They do not have any cardiovascular issues. Then I looked at India, and I talked to someone I knew from India. He moved here in 1997. This was a couple years ago when I was talking to him. He said all of his family's still in India. He goes, they are all very sick. He goes, we know it's their diet. Everyone, all ages, they're all sick. So there is a study, meat consumption in 175 countries. The higher the meat consumption, the better their quality of life. This is Hong Kong up here in meat consumption, and this is India down here. India consumes because they're mostly vegetarian, they're not all vegetarian, but they consume about 1/10 of a pound per person of meat per day. As I said, Hong Kong is 1.2 pounds of meat per day. Okay, and we talked about butter, and this is from the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology 2022. And basically they're saying saturated fat is not significantly associated with cardiovascular disease risk or mortality, okay, based on the evidence. Lastly, everyone you talk to thinks meat is high in saturated fat. It's not. Olive oil is high in monounsaturated fat, oleic acid. Well, guess what? Beef is high in monounsaturated fat, oleic acid. Okay, bacon is higher in monounsaturated fat than any other fat. So there's a lot of misunderstandings out in the world. And that's why we're doing this video. I'm going to make this short and quick and cover all bases. Okay, so what causes high cholesterol and low cholesterol outside of the diet, real quick? Weight loss and low BMI, being lean, raises your cholesterol levels. If you lose weight, that can raise your cholesterol levels for up to 6 months. Being heavy or gaining weight, you have low cholesterol. Exercise and athletics raises your cholesterol levels. Being a couch potato lowers your cholesterol levels. I reached out to Dr. Serrano because after he left the ER, he started working with professional athletes, NFL, Major League Baseball, all sports, including bodybuilding and powerlifting. So I said, in the 30 plus years you've been working with athletes, what percent do you see with normal or low cholesterol? He goes, percent? I can't give you a percent. It's probably about 10 athletes in my life. Okay, all of the athletes he works with have high cholesterol. All right, fasting, eating 1 to 3 meals a day, raises your cholesterol levels. Processed carbs and multiple meals a day lowers your cholesterol levels. All right, so how did we get here? 1957 was a key year for all of this. Dr. Fred Kummerow was doing research. He said, hey, I know the answer. Trans fats are causing heart disease. Now, trans fats, the first trans fat was Crisco, came out in about 1911. Okay? So he reached out to the FDA, never heard back from them. He continued to do his research over the years, continued not to hear from them. He sued the FDA in 2003. Okay? He won. The FDA said, you're right, trans fats cause heart disease, but we need 15 years to get them out of the food. Okay? That was 114 years, and it's still in the food because it's still in fried food. It's still in French fries. They reduced the amount of trans fats are in the foods that you eat. And no one eats one serving or just one serving one food with trans fat a day. So you're still getting trans fats in your body. In 1963, the American Heart Association was reached out by the maker of Crisco, and they were given $2 million to say Crisco was a healthy fat. That opened up the floodgates for all the food manufacturers to start paying everyone to promote their foods. And there was no testing. There was never ever any testing on Crisco, whether it was good, bad, or ugly. Zero testing on Crisco. Okay. In 1957, in England, Dr. John Yudkin said, I know the answer. Sugar is causing heart disease. Too much sugar. Okay. Then in the United States, Ansel Keys said, no, cholesterol is causing heart disease. All right? So he came out with a 7-country study. And you can see here, it's a line going up. People, low cholesterol, low heart disease, and the line goes up on a 45-degree angle. The higher the cholesterol, the higher the heart disease. And he was a bully. He beat up John Yudkin in debates. And he did not, back then scientists were gentlemen. Yudkin was a gentleman. Ansel Keys was not a gentleman. Well, he died in 2004, and his family said, we have all this research. We must give this to scientists so they could look at it. Well, the scientists found out he didn't study 7 countries. He studied 26 countries. Okay? Well, why didn't he use those other countries? Because it showed there were low cholesterol eating countries had high rates of heart disease and low rates of heart disease. There are high cholesterol consuming countries that had high rates of heart disease and low. So it was basically, it didn't make any sense. There's no correlation whatsoever. Okay, so what does cause heart disease? Insulin, inflammation. If you look at Tim Russer from Meet the Press, his cholesterol numbers are obviously very low, but you could see in his face, he was very puffy. You could tell he was inflamed. Infection, some like periodontal disease, will cause heart disease. Okay. In nature, you don't find sugar with fat or protein. You'll find protein and fat together, and you find sugars. So modern food, processed food, combines fat and sugar, and that's what causes heart disease. So it also causes diabetes, and if you want to cause heart disease, start with diabetes. 80% of the people with diabetes and pre-diabetes have heart disease, and they're going to get it. It also causes non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's not caused by fat, it's caused by sugars. When they make foie gras, they force feed geese grains to the liver to fatten their liver. Okay? So all the modern diseases come from sugar, fat, processed foods, ice cream, and baked goods. I had a client whose 21-year-old daughter did a semester in Italy. So I said, can I talk to her? I said, yeah. So I met her for coffee. Wonderful woman. She told me the closest fast food restaurant to where she lived in Italy was 2 hours away. Okay? She goes, we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything was made fresh from scratch. Okay? She goes, we would go out to dinner once a week, and whatever restaurant we went to, they made everything from scratch. She goes, twice a week we would have either gelato or a cannoli, again, made from scratch. Do you see what's going on here? Okay. Also, besides sugar and fat issue, omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. Omega-3 is what's found in fish oil. If you buy fish oil, you want to buy the triglyceride form, not the ethyl ester form. This is synthetic. The triglyceride form is also found in cod liver oil. So if you're buying cod liver oil, you know it's real. Nordic Naturals and Carlson use the correct form. They've been around forever. Okay, so omega-6 to omega-3 ratios used to be 4-to-1, 1-to-1 before the industrial food revolution started. Now, obese people have a 40-to-1 ratio, and the average American has a 17-to-1 ratio. So that's causing inflammation. It comes from the trans fats most of them are rancid too. Okay? Oxidation happens, causes a lot of problems. Okay. Life insurance companies are in the business to make money. How do they make money? they predict mortality. They do not look at cholesterol or LDL. Okay? So that's this paper right here. They do not look at cholesterol or LDL. And they look at, these are not all the numbers for looking at cardiovascular disease. I'm going to do a separate video on numbers and what their, the names and numbers of what they should be. But they look at the triglyceride HDL ratio and the total cholesterol HDL ratio. Right here, this is from 2023. These are superior markers for looking at heart disease. But you also have to look at other markers. Total cholesterol, HDL, HOMA-IR. Again, this is an insulin marker. Insulin is huge in causing heart disease and many other diseases. hsCRP is an inflammatory marker on the bloods. It should be 1.0 or less. Mine's been 0.5 for the past 25 years. In the old days, on LabCorp, they used to say it needs to be under 1.0. At 3, they literally said, I'm paraphrasing here, don't remember the exact number, but something like at 3.0, it caused 5 times the rate of cardiovascular disease, and a 5.0 was 20 times the rate of cardiovascular disease. So it went up exponentially. All right. GGT as liver enzyme should be looked at. Fasting insulin should be on. Fasting insulin and hsCRP should be on every blood marker. So I had a client, Bill, who came to me about a year ago. His hsCRP was 50.11. I almost had a heart attack when I saw it. His liver enzymes were 73. They should be under 26, 27. AST's ALT was 102, and fasting insulin was 14. I got his hsCRP down to dropped 47 points in 5 weeks. It went down to 2.31. His AST went from 73 to 30, ALT 102 to 28, fasting insulin from 14.5 to 3.4, glucose 99 to 82, HDL 54 to 63. Okay, this is good. HDL is an indicator of metabolic syndrome. A man's HDL should be 55 or higher. Okay, a woman's HDL should be 65 or higher. Glucose should be between 80 and 88. If it's between 90 and 100, Dr. Atkins, like 30 years ago, said that's an indicator of pre-diabetes, and it's since been proven to be true. Fasting insulin, no one does fasting insulin. It's a massively important marker for a number of reasons. Bill's was 14.5, went down to 3.4. I want to see it under 7. Most of my clients, I've seen between 10 and over 30. And the heavier they are, the higher it is. But I've seen some people that were not that overweight and they had like a 16. Women's hormones will not work properly if the fasting insulin is over 10. I don't care what you do. You need to correct the fasting insulin to get the hormones working properly, including the thyroid. Okay, we're doing good. So Mark Houston said, Dr. Mark Houston from the Hypertension Institute of Nashville said, there are like 20 markers you need to look at. So think of a baseball score. You got 9 innings in the last square for the total. 9 innings, last score for total. That's 20 boxes. You can't just look at 1 or 2 boxes and decide what's going on. You have to look at the whole thing. The blood labs they paint a picture and tell a story. And that story tells you what's going on. You need to know why something's high or why something's low. Just not say, oh, it's low, I need to fix this, or it's high, I need to fix this. Why is it high? Okay? So they did a study with 12.7 million people. Mortality study. Okay, a study with 12.7 million people is massive. They showed 18 to 34-year-olds, men should be between 18 and 220. Women, this is cholesterol levels, 180 to 200. 35 to 44, 180 to 240. Women, 180 to 220. 45 to 54, 200 to 260. Women, 180 to 240. 55 to 64, 200 to 260 for men. 200 to 260 for women. And then over 65, 200 to 270, 200 over to 300 for women. All right, they're saying they live longer lives with over 200 at this age group. Okay, the oldest woman at 117 just died last year. She was born in the United States, but at age 8, she moved to Spain. Her high cholesterol, her LDL was high. Pretty much in like Sardinia and Sweden, they have massive amounts of people over 100. They all have high cholesterol. Okay? Her triglycerides, I forgot them. Well, this is why the triglyceride ratio is here. Triglycerides should be under 90. Most people, it's off the chart high, and that's from sugars. Her HDL was very high, which I said earlier. HDL needs to be high. Okay? Now, her diet, I lost that. Okay, no problem. Her diet, she was in a care facility for elderly. Every morning for breakfast, she had a protein shake. Every lunch, I had the diet. If you want, I can email it to you if you want the diet. For lunch, every day was a different food. But every day with lunch, she had olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. She had yogurt, and she had egg protein, besides whatever food protein. Could be fish one day, could be chicken another day, whatever. But every lunch, she had those 3 things. Every mid-afternoon, she had yogurt. Every evening for dinner, she had a variety of foods, but she always had extra virgin olive oil, yogurt at the end, and egg protein. Okay, why? Because the protein stops sarcopenia, muscle loss. And I see so many people losing muscle, it's off the chart. All right, my friend Dr. Nick Norwitz, MD, PhD, he's 29. He graduated with a PhD from Oxford in physiology. He just graduated Harvard Medical School in May. His cholesterol level's around 700. Yeah. LDL 574. Okay. Here's a chart of his HDL is very high. I'm going to do a separate video on all the levels, all the other tests that Dr. Walsh taught me. I just took a course in advanced cardiology with all new tests that literally just came out. Your primary care physician probably doesn't even know about these tests. So I'm going to bring all these tests in a different video. I'm going to finish up with this. By the way, please like and subscribe. Please go to my website for a free cell blueprint, $180 value. Go to my website or email me, michael@hpa.coach, and just give me your email, and I'll send you the cell blueprint. The cell blueprint has 150 questions. It covers everything from hormones to gut issues to neurotransmitters to mitochondria. By the way, the oldest woman, her mitochondria was outstanding high and running perfect when she died. Okay, the only thing she had was loss of hearing. Okay, a lot of people come to me. 2 last points. A lot of people come to me and say, I don't understand. My grandparents had high cholesterol, and they lived into their late 90s. And my parents, their cholesterol was like low, and they died in the 70s. Something to think about. I happen to know a husband of a woman. She's 65. She's a vegan. Been a vegan for 25 years. She does not eat fats of any kind. She eats mostly carbs and vegetables, obviously. Not much else. She doesn't eat anything, in my opinion, that's making her healthy. Now she just found out she's got heart disease. And she's overweight, by the way. And she has tons of pain. She's in constant pain. And people get married to their diets. And they don't feel well, but they go, no, it's got to start working. If you're not feeling better, in 1 to 3 months, what you're doing is not working. This is Bob, who is a forensic pathologist, medical examiner. Bob, I can't say that last name. And he says here, this was on X, I showed another medical student today the evidence at autopsy that cholesterol does not cause arteriosclerosis. She told me that her father is a PhD biochemist and he is totally against statin use. I'm going to do a separate video on statins, by the way. I wish physicians would educate themselves. So I asked Bob the cause. I mean, I knew the cause, but I wanted to see what he had to say. And he follows me and I follow him. He goes, it is caused by the repair and the lining of blood vessels. A thrombus is the body's defense to any kind of wound. It's not a problem unless damage is continuous and repair and cleanup cannot keep up. The causes of this damage are inflammation, diabetes, insulin, hypertension, which is caused by a lot of this, and toxins such as tobacco. Okay? This is from Pierre Corey, basically showing what Bob is saying, but I'm going to show you on my arm. This is it. This is the last thing we're doing. So let's say I cut myself right here. All right? Then overnight, a scab forms. And I rip that scab off, and I cut myself again. Well, the scab's going to form again, and the next day, I'm going to pull the scab off, and we're going to keep on going. So the body and the scar keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what's happening inside the arteries. The cholesterol is there to repair the problem. Think of firefighters. We've all seen either firefighters in real life or on TV or a movie where they show up and they put out the fire. The firefighters did not cause the fire. They're there to put out the fire. The cholesterol is there to repair the body. But the problem is people eat too many omega-6s, too much sugar, too much processed foods, and it keeps on layering, put another layer. And that's what causes the problem. It's not the cholesterol, it's the diet. It's the nutrients. Okay, I love you guys. You're awesome. I appreciate all of you. If you like this, please share this video with anyone who could use this information. Contact me, leave a message on the bottom of this video, or email me, michael@hpa.coach. Please sign up for the free cell blueprint. I love you guys. Have a great day.